In this video, I'm going to show you the exact system we use to help a $150 million company run part of its 23-person marketing team in just a few hours per week. Because most companies are still running these operations completely manually. Things like product launches, SWOT analysis, and presentations all done by hand, which means their marketing teams are spending hundreds of hours on repetitive tasks instead of strategy. And that's exactly what this business was doing. So we built a two-part system that changed everything. First, a custom dashboard that centralizes the entire product launch process in one place. And second, back-end automations that handle all the repetitive work automatically. Now, I'm about to walk you through every step in our process so that by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what it takes to build a similar system for your own business and can ultimately free up your team's time to start scaling without creating more friction within the business. Now, before we jump into what we actually built, you need to understand the problem this marketing team was dealing with, because this wasn't just some small company trying to get off the ground. It was a $150 million business with multiple brands and dozens of SKUs launching every year. And their marketing team was drowning in manual work, which meant for every new launch, the marketing team had to manually go through the same time-consuming processes like SWOT analysis and value proposition development. On top of that, all their resources were scattered across different databases. And the result, slow turnaround times, inconsistent quality, and way too much time spent on low-leverage tasks instead of actual strategy. So when they came to us, they didn't just need better tools. They needed a complete system that could centralize everything and automate the busy work. So the first thing we did was build them a completely custom product lifecycle management interface with Lovable that perfectly matched how their team actually worked. That way, they could stop jumping between folders and computers looking for the information they needed and access all of it in one centralized dashboard. So let me take you behind the scenes to see how that looks. Okay, so now we're in the back end in the actual dashboard in the product. So this is the main dashboard here. You can see we're using sample data, so this is for demonstration purposes only. So all products and data are fictional. Don't want to run into any legal issues showing any products, so we just added in some dummy data there. So I'm going to walk you through each page and the functionality here. And again, this is built exactly how they work. So this fits exactly into their process. So when you look at other platforms like Monday.com or ClickUp, you always run into specific issues pertaining to your workflows. So this is fully custom built, and there's no, random folders. You don't have to go and send an email to another team member. Hey, can you send me this? Can you send me that? Everything is right inside of this platform, everything that they need. Okay, so we have a dashboard here. This is just a high level overview of everything. Gives a really nice overview of the health and where every product is at. We have a little plus button down here. We could create a new product, quick SWOT analysis, or generate a report. But I'm going to jump into our products page. So this shows each product that is currently in the product launch lifecycle management process. So if we click into one product here, we have a product specific dashboard. So this is very, very high leverage, useful for their team so that they can jump into any product and see where each product is at. Gives them high level information and detailed information so they're not, again, jumping around into different places, figuring out what needs to be done for each product, where information is for each product. Everything is right in here. So we have budget, launch progress, product details, launch readiness checklist. We have notes and comments. We have our approval workflow. So anything that your team is doing to hand off specific items to the next person, that's integrated into here as well. And then we can look into our timeline so they can see very, very high level and complete, where everything is at for that product. We have all of the documents. So this is, again, so useful, so good for them because everything is usually held literally different computers. So again, you have to email people, go back and forth. Everything is in here. So you can view it, download it. You have everything you need in there. Then you have your team. Again, fictional for this specific demo walkthrough, but that's our main, products dashboard there. Again, it's really, really high leverage, built exactly how they work. And then we have our SWOT analysis, right? So for each product, they have their individual SWOT analysis, link to product, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You can quickly add that to a presentation, export as PDF, export to slides, create a share link if you need to share this with other stakeholders or investors. If it's a brand that they're doing a launch for that isn't housed under their company name, it's a partnership. They can share it with outside stakeholders. Okay, then we have our value proposition. So copy effectiveness score. So this is an AI integrated software as well. So we're using AI generate variant. We're using Claude's API to generate different items, whatever they need. And it's trained on their specific processes and thesis, how their tone, their brand tone, what they like to talk about, what they like to focus on. All of the copy variants focus on that. So we can AI generate features, social proof, our CTAs. We have competitive positioning. So again, this is really high leverage, high value information here that they have access to and can create. All right. And then we have presentations. So this will link into N8N. So I'll show you kind of a pre-made example. So they can create all of their presentations and decks inside of this platform. So you can see the different slides. It's pretty generic what we have in here for this, demonstration. But either way, it has all the information that they would usually have on here. They might have some more graphics, but we can regenerate the value proposition, improve the copy, suggest visuals. So this is this eliminates so much repetitive work and just time wasted when they need to create presentations. Again, this is going to pull from everything that they've submitted, right? So if we go into new product, we type in a new product, this is now housed under the same roof that they're going to be creating a presentation with. So everything is in one place at all times. All right. Then we have settings. So N8N, we can see that is connected in. We have Supabase. So all data is held in there. Claude AI, Slack, not using this at the moment. Google Drive, not using this at the moment. We can configure webhooks here. Automation settings, so auto-generate SWOT analysis, auto-generate value propositions, auto-generate presentations. So these are all automations that they need for their specific workflow. And we were able to literally create this exactly how they work. That is the most powerful thing that you can do for any team, is create something that works exactly how they work. Okay. So now we have API keys. So this is all hidden. So again, if you go into another SaaS platform, they're going to have this in here, integrations. This is fully custom built. So you can fully custom build anything that you want using Lovable, using a prompting system. Obviously, there's a lot of QA and pilot programs that get a product from kind of, you could call it vibe coding to production to rolled out to a team. So it's a whole process, but you can build this yourself. It's totally possible. You could set up notifications, different profiles, or this is my profile. So yeah, this is just very powerful. So that's the full walkthrough. So now I'm going to walk you through our actual process from going idea to production when you're looking at building something, again, as vibe coding or in Lovable, because it's really important to follow a process, because it's really easy to mess up code. You get into a hole where you really can't fix the code and then you have to start all over. So this is really our beginning to end process, bringing ideas into actual production into teams. So it's not really like you just open up Lovable and then you type a prompt in and then everything's good to go. It really is a long process. So I'm going to walk you through exactly how we go about that. So essentially the first thing is discovering workflow mapping. So you want to sit down and interview key stakeholders to understand pain points and goals. All right. So that's really important. It could be 30 minutes to an hour. You could meet with a whole team at once, and you want to make sure that those interviews are recorded, because you're going to upload them into a Claude project, and that's going to be your actual context to create your prompts to build the software. Okay. And then you're going to map all existing workflows and processes end to end. So you could use Miro or Lucidchart, something that you maybe already use in-house. And then you're going to identify integration points and data sources. So this is another thing that you can use AI to help with once you have your context, which I'll just go into the next step here, but you can use AI to identify those steps once you have full context. Okay. So the next step is going to be to create a Claude project dedicated to the build. So technically you could create something in Gemini or ChatGPT. I personally prefer Claude. So you're going to upload all interview transcripts and documentation, and then generate a comprehensive context file in PRD for the platform. So you're going to say generate a full comprehensive context file in PRD for this project. Here's what we're looking to do. Here's all the context, and Claude will go ahead and do that. Okay. So then you're going to build in Lovable. So create your first series of prompts from the PRD, upload prompts into Lovable and iterate. So usually it's a 1-by-1 process. You just copy and paste the prompt and then configure all integrations and data connections. So this is the critical step. I know that it's really easy to go in and copy and paste a prompt and then you have a software, but it's really important to have a full stack developer reviewing all prompts and all generated code throughout the entire build process, so that, again, you don't get into that position where your code is completely ruined and you have to start over. Okay, so that's really important. And then pilot program and QA. So deploy to a small group of pilot users, probably for 30 to 60 days, and then conduct a thorough quality assurance testing process, and then gather feedback and iterate on issues. So usually when you roll out a software, there's going to be some initial feedback and issues that happen. There's going to be bugs. So it's important to have that initial pilot program so you could figure those out. And then full rollout to production, to roll out to the full team with proper onboarding, deploy to production environment. So you might take it off of Lovable and deploy it to Vercel, and then monitor, support, and continuously improve. So those are the big steps that you want to take when you're actually building a software for your team, for your business. You want to follow a very rigorous and rigid process so that you actually get to production. All right. Now, building a dashboard like this takes a lot of time and expertise. So if you try setting it up yourself or even assigning another team member to do it, it will probably leave you worse off than before. However, if you still want to implement systems like this into your business without doing the heavy lifting, you can book a call below. We've helped over 80 clients install these processes, ultimately saving them hundreds of hours within their business. So if you want to see how we can help and do the same for you, just book a call below. But either way, having a dashboard to centralize everything is just one part of the equation. Because if you're still manually doing things like SWOT analysis or writing value propositions from scratch, you've just created a better looking way to do the same busy work. That's why the second part of the system is where we connect workflow automation to tools like N8N to handle these tasks automatically. And that was the real game changer for our client, because now every time a new product was added to the dashboard, N8N would have the SWOT analysis, value propositions, and even presentation slides generated on autopilot. And that was one of the biggest unlocks we were able to help them achieve, because think about it. Why have your team members do a repetitive task like writing out value propositions when it can be done without you lifting a finger? It's basically a no-brainer, and it saved them dozens if not hundreds of hours. But let me show you exactly how this works. Okay, so now we're in our N8N account, and this automation is our PLM master router automation. So essentially what we want to do is set up a single automation that will take our one webhook that fires whenever any of our automations are run in our software. So we have one webhook that's firing out of our software into N8N, and then we use this one automation to route it to the proper automation that's in N8N. Okay, so that just eliminates the need to create a new webhook every single time we want to add in a new automation to the platform. This way, we just have one webhook whenever a button is clicked. For example, the competitor analysis button. So if I go into a product and we want to generate the competitive analysis and we click this generate button, that webhook is going to be the same webhook that fires when we go to generate our SWOT analysis, right? So it's the same webhook being sent, but we just take the payload, which shows us what the webhook is for, and then we can route it to the proper automation. So that's what this automation does. It just separates it, puts it into the correct workflow, and then brings us back into the platform. So again, we have PLM master router, so you can screenshot this so you can kind of see how this works. But we have a webhook, so single entry point, then our router. So this is our smart traffic control. Then our sub workflows. So we have modular design. So each workflow does a specific thing. And then that's it. So these are our 4-1. So SWOT, value proposition, presentation, and competitive analysis. So for example, I'll show you our competitive analysis generator. So once we receive our webhook, we'll do a web search. So this will scrape the competitor by keywords, and then we extract the results. So I will show you this code that we have in here, so you could screenshot this and use it in your automation. Can't show you our actual prompts because it's proprietary to their workflows, but basically you just want to create a prompt that says what you're trying to do with the competitor information and to create the actual document that you want to present to your team and use for your process. And then we want to format that response, and then we return it to the dashboard through a webhook here. So it's a 6-step process. So it's really, this one's a little bit straightforward. You can screenshot this again so you could see the exact steps that you need to take. All right. And then we have our SWOT analysis generator. So kind of the same thing here. We have our prompt removed, but we have our webhook trigger. So again, this comes through our router automation into our SWOT analysis generator. We have our webhook trigger, Claude AI. So we're using Anthropic here, and then we format our response and then send it back to our dashboard. So again, it's a pretty straightforward, it's only 4 steps, but we want to use the information that we have in our software to generate the SWOT. And again, time saved. What used to take 2 to 4 hours of manual research now happens in 3 seconds. So very, very high leverage process here. But that's everything with the automation. Again, so we have one router automation, and again, the purpose for this, and I call this smart automation design, right? We know that every automation or webhook that leaves the platform goes through this one automation. So if we have a change in process or we want to add something in that's valuable, let's say the company's process changes and they need to produce something else that leaves the platform, something is generated and then goes back into the platform. We only have to take one step here to add it into this workflow and then create the other workflow. And then it's a better way to structure it. It reduces the amount of errors and the error probability. It gives it a very clean structure. If they ever have another developer working on it, they know how everything works. It's not like workflows are scattered everywhere. So I call this smart automation design, having one router going from the platform. That being said, we'll jump back into the video. And that's the exact system we built for a $157 million company to run their marketing team more efficiently. Now, that leaves you with two options. Option one, you can take what you learned in this video and go through all the trial and error of implementing a similar system for yourself. Or option two, you can hire a team of experts who have done this over 80 times. We'll handle the entire process for you, from mapping your workflows to building the interface your business needs and implementing the necessary automations, all so that you can save time and scale without adding more friction to the business. So if that's something you're interested in, just book a call using the link in the description below and we'll see how we can help you out as well.